ready for the profession they've chosen to major in. So the professional development course used to be a senior level course, and we realized we're waiting too late to teach them the soft skills they need for the world of work. So we moved into a junior level course, and I'm starting to think that's not soon enough. With the great job market, our students are being asked to participate in jobs, internships earlier and earlier, so we want to get them ready for the world of work. This is a 1-hour course. It's been pass-fail. We're about to change it to an A to F course to make sure students don't miss any of the modules. Because what we realize is if they miss one of these, they've lost a valuable activity that the faculty think is very important to them, for them to have in the world of work. All business majors take this. It's a graduation requirement, and the prerequisite is business communication, where they learn to write a cover letter, a resume, a business report, and do a good bit of writing and oral presentation. So what this does is it transitions them to the world of work, and why it's important for our students in particular. Many of them are first-generation college students. We serve a Hispanic population. Many of them don't have parents that work in a professional job, so it's our role to offer them instruction on culture, norms, dress, manners for the world of business. And here's a picture from a class. That's our own Courtney Young, a business communication and marketing professor, and she's delivering a series of slides there on how to clean up Facebook and other social media before you go for a job interview. She is one of our youngest faculty members, and she really relates to our students, and she did a wonderful job in this class, and this is from this semester. Some of the things the students have at their ready are LibGuides that the faculty and our librarian friends have prepared on how to study for a major field test. We give them an exit exam in their senior level strategy course, so we prepare them for that. We prepare them for their resumes. There's nice LibGuides out there, grad school entrance exam, because many of our students go on to complete their MBA degree. Lecture on LibGuides and some resources on how to search their career, how to search a business they may be interviewing in, and also a lot of other information where they can scan some other business topics. Their required supplies are portfolio. Most of them didn't know what that word is, but we asked them to get a Dalton State portfolio. They've got a nice pad, a place for a pen, a place for their business cards. We provide some thank you cards. That's just an example, because we think when you go on a mock interview and later on a real interview, if you write a handwritten thank you note, that puts you head and shoulders above anybody else interviewing. And they do some volunteer work, and we have t-shirts for them. Heather's going to tell you about that in just a bit. Some of the things we do with them is perfect their resume and cover letter. I don't know how many red pens we've gone through this semester, because everybody in the office has helped edit resumes. Students edit their own faculty, and we even have other business professionals get it right, because when you go on a job interview, our students look like every other student. They've been through 4 years of college. The only thing that differentiates them is how they look and the materials they give somebody interviewing them. So people really look at that resume. They look for typos, they look for spacing issues and grammatical issues, so we try to fix those. We ask them to do a LinkedIn page, because that's a very professional portrait of who they are. On campus, Mallory Safely's had the most activities. We've taught them how to do handshakes for a cupcake. The photography club on campus took professional photos that they could put on LinkedIn. We're trying to match their LinkedIn profile to their resume. Our librarians, what did you do, Amy, for our students?
Well, I came and spoke to them about researching the company so that they understand kind of what the current topics of interest and trends in the industry are.
So we wanted to make sure when they went out for an interview, at the end of the interview, the professional will say, what questions do you have? We wanted to make sure they knew about the company, the industry, so they could ask a forward-looking question and look like they'd done their homework. So thanks to Amy, they had done their homework. She introduced them to databases that we share with the library, and some we purchased, ABI Inform to learn about current business trends. IBIS World drills deep in a company and an industry, and ProQuest Complete database to find some articles. So the students are assigned a company in the community. We have a long list of people who are friends with us and friends with Dalton State. They prepare a cover letter and resume for a job in one of our 6 business majors. then the rest is up to them. They email the person, set up a time for the interview, map questions so they know how to get there. After the interview, the interviewer does a survey monkey survey for us to assess the student. We review those results the last class of the semester. They send an immediate email, thank you for interviewing me and taking the time. Then they send that handwritten thank you note a day after. We make them take a photo of that, post it up to Dropbox in the Georgia View course so we know we've done that. So we've got a lot of feedback to get them ready. Okay, we train them after they've done their handshaking. We train them at a networking event where we invite former students who are now working in industry to come and practice with their students. We know they're not perfect. We know they're nervous. We know sweat's running down their back. And we ask them to come practice interacting. All right, Jamie, what are you doing at this table?
I did a checklist, so each student that came in had to meet all the requirements of the checklist. It was a separate one for the female students and the male students, including things like, for the gentlemen, that they had a dark suit that matched pants and jacket, that they had a tie and it was done properly, that they had the correct color shirt, nothing too wild, that they had socks on with their dress shoes.
She's emphasizing that because that was a problem.
That was a problem. Some of them would pull up their pant leg and they're like, they had gym socks on. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, my jeans covered. So that was what we did. We put them through that, and then we sent them on to the next team that were helping them cut the tags off, cut the back flap on their jackets, and
The floor was littered with thread from cutting these sort of kick pleats and where you've got your tags and labels. But we did this upstairs right here before we sent them downstairs. And that was in health professions. But we cleaned them up and got them ready to go. We do an etiquette training. We have an alumni who's a nice friend of Dalton State. She helps us with this, and we teach them how to eat with a knife and fork. A lot of job interviews take place over the people are very busy, but it tells you a lot about a person, how they conduct themselves with others. So we do this at the farm. We have a training beforehand, and we invite people in to sit at tables of 8 with their students and talk with them to model the behavior. So if you don't remember anything else that we say to you today, remember BMW, the car we like to have, right? Bread, meal, water. Your bread's on the left, your meal's in the middle, your water's on the right. So we teach them mnemonics and things like if you salt your food before you taste it, that means you make decisions without complete information. Don't do that. A lot of hidden things in etiquette. We didn't know either, right? So, speakers. We run this class out of my office, but it's mostly speakers. We have speakers from all over the community. Shannon DeBoof from UNO talks about the job search. Marianne Sasser, who's a part-time faculty for us, teaches about the STAR interviewing method, where you have a situation, a task you accomplished, and then tell about your results. That's a current trend in the HR literature, so she makes sure they understands that. You saw Courtney speaking on social media. Mallory Safely joins us to talk about Purple Briefcase. I'll save the boys and girls for you to talk about. Wright School of Faculty are there. Dr. Dietrich does a bang-up lecture on time management. Sandra Derrick does our etiquette training. Here you see some of our students interacting with their guests. All right, Dr. Dietrich, what are you doing here? What are you doing, Dr. Gabrini?
I was helping young men tie a tie.
Here's what they also don't know, the soft skills of tying up just a standard Windsor knot or over a knot. So somebody donated, I believe, the ugliest collection of ties I have ever seen to us. We took them, we hang them up on the door in our office, and students come by and they'll have their tie just folded up. I don't know what to do. So this dream team here on the second row helps them learn to tie. Sometimes they tie and slip it over their head, take it with them with a set of instructions or a link to YouTube so they can learn to tie. We've been so pleased with Dalton State's own career closet where we can provide attire for students because it's expensive to buy a suit. We go over attire and professional appearance. I know that's one not to do, but Jamie and her team do quite a lot of work getting students ready for career fairs. We ask them also to go to a professional meeting in the area. Mike takes them to Kiwanis. I think Dr. Shute, you've taken a bunch of them to Rotary, various Chamber of Commerce, Civitans, or these are professional meetings in their field. So they'll get ready to know what professionals in their field know. And we ask them to bring back 3 business cards as verification they were there. But the method to the madness is they start linking in with these people and have some comments to call on. We go over the mock interview. I think I told you a little bit about that. That's a really important part, and what the students learn is there's a lot more preparation for the real interview than they thought. It takes a longer time to get ready, so I think we've impressed those skills on them. Here's just an example of a thank you note we show them. We have lots of handouts and lots of templates for them, but I think the activity we're most excited about, and that's why I've drafted Heather, is
yeah, so I play a very small role and very component in what the professional development class is. But it is a huge experience for the students because they spend the first part of their semester learning about etiquette and how to communicate professionally, but we want them to start getting out in the field. And if any of you have met Dr. Helms and talked to her more than 5 minutes, the conversation turns into delegation or an idea, and we need to do this. So our initial conversation started probably in, I think when we sat back and it was June of last year. I got a call saying, hey, I think we need to create some agency partnerships and get these business students out in the community. Let's go visit some agencies. So after lots of conversations, we boiled down to creating an extensive partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Whitfield County. The reason that we've done that is because they have several different departments within their organization that aligns with the skills that they're learning in the classroom. So the School of Business's #1 component of this project is that they are doing skills-based learning out in the field through their volunteer work. So whenever they come to the first day of class, they are greeted by my smiling face. I get to tell them all about the joys of regular serve, how to work as a volunteer, how to register for the project they want to work with, and more importantly, how to track those hours so that we can then go back and verify them so that they can get credit for their course. In that process, we're coaching them through some of our students who are in accounting or the numbers. They also can sign up to work with the VITA program, which is volunteer income tax assistance. They also work with the accountant for Boys and Girls Club and help them make sure their books are in order, help with additional tasks and delegations so they get that hands-on experience. We have students who go out and work with club programming, so they're facilitating workshops for the students who are in the after-school care program. They're planning and coordinating activities to keep them engaged. They're helping kids with homework. They can also help on kind of the HR and operational side. We put together a team of 3 to 4 students every semester who go out, build fundraisers for the Boys and Girls Club and execute those to help them raise funds. Or they go out and help with their annual stake event fundraiser and do the logistics leading up to that event. So that way, depending on where they are in the School of Business, that they're getting experiences that are very specific and targeted to what they need to know whenever they graduate. So going back to the high impact practices, practical world experience, and hopefully embedding all these wonderful things that they do. We always get the students who come in and say, Boys and Girls Club hours do not fit my schedule, what can I do? So we do have a disclaimer that if students cannot, and they have to be able to effectively articulate to us why they cannot volunteer for the Boys and Girls Club or the VITA program, that we work with them to make special exceptions when needed. And so the exceptions, it has to be a nonprofit organization. They have to be able to explain to us how it is skill-based and aligning with their business degree that they're hoping to get. And we have to connect with the agency to make sure the agency is okay with facilitating and overseeing their volunteer experience. When they go, we ask them to wear these lovely Dalton State volunteer t-shirts that School of Business provides, so that way they're noticeable, they're branded to the institution, and also it gives the School of Business some photos to share back out when they're doing future marketing and publications. We've covered that. Through the experience and what we've learned, I think it's been a whirlwind over the past 2 semesters of what we've been able to accomplish, because this is our 2nd semester implementing the program. Feedback from the Boys and Girls Club is that our students have been able to do some really awesome projects. One of them created a video that was then used to launch and kick off their annual fundraising event. They've been able to go in and completely rework work some of the application process for general volunteers for Boys and Girls Club. They've been able to go in and help get accounting books up and running. Especially right now, the Boys and Girls Club is in transition with their accounting like full-time staff, so having volunteers to help see and carry through that transition has been helpful for them as well. We think that through students' reflections and some of the things that they've been doing, that although they are usually really hesitant when we tell them they have to volunteer 10 hours over the time of the semester, they go in sheer panic mode. But in the end, they've come back and said, like, thank you for making me do this. I didn't see the point of it, but I was able to go to the community, do this work, and some of them have even come back and said it's opened my mind to the possibility of working for a nonprofit, where before they were strictly looking at the corporate world. So I think it opens opportunities and eyes. And then, do you have, what other things have you seen?
I guess one of the things I was going to say is for students that don't have a lot of work experience, we have some full-time students that don't do much work outside their classroom activities. Doing the volunteer experience adds something for their resume. It's a line on their resume, but more importantly, when they go on a job interview, they don't have work to talk about, but they can talk about their volunteer work. And if you can supervise people who are there not being paid, that's a great skill. So that's a great resume builder for them. Like Heather was saying, it's a confidence builder. The Boys and Girls Club just had their kickoff state dinner. We both spoke at that. They were very pleased with their relationship with Dalton State, and we're working to add more organizations. But what we want to continue to do is keep this focus in field so they get a chance to actually use their business skills. And I guess the next part of this puzzle, flip it back to Jamie a bit, is we're going to start the job shadow program even earlier. You want to give the last 2-minute pitch on that?
What we've decided is a lot of the students will get into upper division and they're like, I know I'm going to be an accounting major, for instance, and they've never, other than their 2 principal beginning level classes, they've never had any experience with accounting. And then, they may go through that first junior year and then they're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going to change my major. So we felt like if we could get them job shadowing as sophomores before they get to upper division courses, then they could actually go out and follow someone for just a few hours, even just one day, and get a feel for it. And they may realize that this is just not what I'm meant to do, may start looking at other areas, and may save themselves a year or so of retaking, so that we don't have students, graduating with 160 hours. So
Hopefully we can report on that in our future bowl talks and let you know how that's going.
Yeah, and we're out of time, but just kind of a wrap up and for us to leave. The other thing that throughout this entire class, there's lots of different components. And so one of the things that we looked at when helping create and craft this program was the NACE skills. I think it's like National Association of College Employers. Every year does a survey of tons and tons of employers asking what are you looking for in students when they graduate from college. And so constantly the order changes, but the top 10 pretty much stay the same, which is the ability to work in a team structure, ability to make decisions and solve problems, ability to plan, organize, and prioritize verbal communication, written communication, the ability to process information and analyze data, proficiency with software, and ability to create and edit reports, and the ability to self-influence others. And so with that, we feel like not hitting one piece by itself, but all these things pulled together are hitting each 10 of these qualities throughout the course of their professional development class, so that way they can hopefully be more employable upon graduation and feel confident in their ability to do so. But if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me, Dr. Helms, and any of these other lovely faculty in the School of Business, and we can chat about specific components depending on what your interests are. But thank you for giving us your time, and we are going to get our going.
Thank you.
So on behalf of the Faculty Development Committee, I have Elizabeth, Celeste, Matt, Fernando, thank you so much for your help. We want to extend our appreciation to you as presenters and audience members. Presenters, real quick, just stand real quick. Let's give them a hand. All presenters. I don't know about you, but there's so much to this. There's great things to this because it's camaraderie, it's learning from experts, and for me, it's really inspiring. So thank you for your gift of your time. And here's what I say to my students every day. Be safe, make good choices, go make a difference, and know that you're loved. So thank you for your day. Have a great weekend. Dr. Schutz.
I want to thank everybody for being here and inviting us to this small year. The presentations were awesome.
Yes.
Overwhelmed by them. And as much as I say maybe we shouldn't do this next year, I just so feel like this is such a great format because we get such a great smattering of things. And I'm just going to leave a box of crayons on my desk from now on. I'll take them to my office so they can calm down and think we're done. Thank you, Bob. Thank you to the committee. Thank you, presenters. I will be sending an email out to all of you. I wish we could take an attendance because I would like a little evaluation back. So if you're here and you have any thoughts, please send me an email. My door is always open. Pop in if you have to and just say hi.